morning. Happy Wednesday. Hope everybody's having a great day today so far. It's 8:30, February 24th. The month of February is almost over. We're creeping up on March. You got one more month left in the first quarter. So if you have any cash buyers that are ready to go, we can still close something out in the first quarter. If you have any buyers that are fully underwritten, ready to go and make solid offers on some properties that are financed, we can definitely get those done in this first quarter as well. I sent a message out this morning to my team, and I wanted to just convey it onto you for a reason, and I'm going to expand on it a little bit. The overnight success story takes a long time to tell, and so everybody that's being rewarded in public right now for something they've done is being rewarded being rewarded in public for something that they've done in private for quite some time. So there is really no such thing as an overnight success. You have to be willing to put the work in over and over and over again. You have to be willing to accept that no matter how many times you fail, it only takes one time being right for you to be considered and be able to be viewed as an overnight success at that point. But it's going to take some trials and tribulations. And I bring that up because we heard some mention of people doing things over. Jeff mentioned yesterday, one of his agents, doing things, calling, making phone calls, getting a hold of 6 people, getting a hold of 20 people, doing it for like 30 days. And I've got similar stories from agents that are picking up the phone and calling and doing these things, knocking on doors for 30 days and not getting any results and getting disappointed. But the point is, you can't become that overnight success. You're not going to just pick up the phone and all of a sudden have 20 million people that want to sell a home with you or list a home with you. It just doesn't happen that way most of the time. You're going to have to put some time, effort, and work into it. So I told a story about a brand new agent to the business, and he had just got his license. He's in Tennessee, and he sat down and he went through a bunch of coaching calls and a bunch of other agents and interviews, and he asked them what you did, and they told him you have to make contacts. So he decided, I'm going to make 200 contacts a day. He made 200 contacts a day, 5 days a week. And after 30 days, the result of that 200 contacts a day for 30 days, he had 0 deals. 200 contacts a day for 30 days, 5 days a week, not a single deal, not a single contract, not a single listing. And he was calling both buyers and sellers. So he doubled down and said, I'm going to continue doing this because this is what I said that I wanted. And for between days 30 and 90, by the end of that 60-day span, days 30 and 90, he ended up with 10 contracts. But he also had a pipeline full of people. And by the end of the year, he did like 80 to 90 deals that year. So you will be rewarded in public for what you've practiced in private for quite some time. So you have to be willing to sit down, put the work in, and pretty much do a lot of hard work, things, fail a couple times before you can get back up and actually be rewarded for those things. So that's just something to think about. You're going to have to put the work in. So just commit to it, decide that you want it, and get out there and do it. Today, we're going to talk about some multiple offer scenarios. We talk a lot about going after listings, and that's we need listings, but I know most of us have more buyers in our pipeline than we do listings in our pipeline right now. Some of us are working with 8, 10, 12 buyers, and there's just not a lot out there for them. So we're going to talk about, navigating through these multiple offers with the buyers. And then we're also going to talk about the working with buyers, but then we're also going to talk about different strategies that you can do to hopefully try and find some properties for the buyers so they're not always competing with everything that's on the market. So it's really important that we understand why we have all of these scenarios. And the post that Mike put out, and then Jeff and Mike talked about on Monday, was about why this isn't similar to 2005, because all of the signs are completely different. 2005 was a mortgage meltdown, and so mortgage-backed securities became worthless for the most part, and it was a mortgage crisis, but we don't have that right now. They talked about the amount of inventory during that time. There was still 6-7 months supply of inventory Meaning that no matter when a home came on the market, it would still, if no one else came on the market, it would take 6 to 7 months for all of them to sell. Right now, we have a 0.7-month supply of inventory. And so just looking into all of the reasons why this is happening, it's, supply and demand. There's actually not enough supply to meet the demand. Before, there was plenty of supply. People were just buying everything and couldn't afford it. The guy who made $10 an hour was buying $300,000-$400,000 homes. So we have low inventory that obviously creates a supply and demand. Low interest rates, interest rates were much different back then. They were pretty much writing loans at nearly any rate just to get the people in there. They were doing on ARMs, like an adjustable rate mortgage, and there were some of the problems then. But right now, interest rates, we have fixed rates at 2.7, 2.5, 2.6. So with the demand from the buyers, they're just looking and saying, wow, the interest rate would have to go up 1% to match. So we hear that a lot. Buyers say, I'm going to wait till the market crashes. Do the math. Get a mortgage calculator out, sit in front of your buyer and show them, look, if you wait till the market crashes, what we're probably going to see is interest rates that are at least 1% higher, at least. I mean, let's just say they go to 4%. The market would have to crash by $40,000 to $50,000 to balance out the difference of a 1.5 to 1.25 to 1.5% interest rate raise. $40,000 to $50,000. That's how much it would have to crash down. And by all of the reports that you can read, there's not one of them that says the market is going to crash, like, number one, crash period, number two, crash like that, number three, they're saying that it's going to continue to go up, but if anything, possibly plateau. So talking to your buyer and letting them know and having them understand the position that they're in, the money is never going to be cheaper. So even if you do overpay a little bit for a home, your payment's still going to be lower now than it would be if you waited for prices to go down and the interest rate goes up. So also, we live in paradise. What just got released yesterday? We saw TripAdvisor, St. Pete Beach was ranked the #1 beach in the country and in the top 10 in the world. Madeira Beach was the ninth rated beach in the country. There's also Clearwater and I believe Siesta Key were in the top 20 in the country. They beat out places like Hawaii, California. I mean, beat all of these places out. South Beach, like St. Pete Beach, beat all of those out. And when people are seeing on the news, that's what they're seeing. And while they're sitting wherever they're at, they're seeing an opportunity that they can move somewhere and be closer to that. And then what do we have here in the Tampa Bay area that is greater than nearly any other city in the state of Florida? We've got such an amazing stability to our economic table. When you look at the legs of our economic table, hang on a second, sorry, I need to share the screen. And these are great talking points when you're talking to buyers about why it's a good decision and why it's okay to pay a little bit more for a home. When you look at our economic table and considering the legs of our economic table or the reasons that our economy is stable and doing well or bounces back as quick as it did, faster than nearly a lot of the other cities around from the last crash, look at all of the things that support our economy that we have. You've got an Air Force base, MacDill Air Force Base. That place employs hundreds of thousands of people. So there's tons of people that are, number one, coming in and out of the city regularly because of transfers, but then a lot of other people that live here permanently. Because they've lived here at some point during their tenure in the military, they saw what kind of benefits this area has, and then they always come back. So they'll want to retire over here. What else do we have? Just recently, the sports. We have a Super Bowl champion Buccaneers team. We have an AL champion, a Tampa Bay Rays team. We have a Stanley Cup champion, Tampa Bay Lightning, and then we have the Rowdies, who are a lower level soccer team, not quite in the majors there, but they won their division as well. So we've got a lot of posture there in the sports world. What else do we have? Beaches. We have, goodness, 4 of the top beaches in the country are right here within 40 minutes of where we're at in Tampa Bay. What else? Corporations, financial corporations like, JP Morgan Chase, places like that, Morgan Stanley, car insurance, Progressive, Geico. There's places like that all have corporate offices here. There's a whole lot of other corporations that have offices here as well. They've chosen to come here because there's some tax benefits, but also the economy here as well. What else do we have? We have a top 5 international airport. Tampa International Airport's been rated in the top 5 in the country and continues to be with all the changes that they've made. And now you can go direct from Tampa to a lot of places that you couldn't have like 10 years ago. So what else? We are centrally located in the state of Florida, so our location is pretty amazing for the whole entire state of Florida. You can go and see nearly anything in the state within a few hours. We're an hour away from a 6-foot mouse and a big castle out there in Orlando. We are a couple hours away from Naples. You're 3.5 hours away from Fort Lauderdale. You are a ferry ride to Key West, a short drive and a ferry ride to Key West. You are, everything so close. We have so many benefits to our area. Lauren, absolutely. So museums, the Straz, the arts, so there's so much here. You have a Dolly Museum, you have a Glazer Museum, you've got so many different things. We've got so much being injected into the area with Steve Vinnick coming in, or Jeff Vinnick putting in all of the money into the downtown area, and then the Tampa putting together the Riverwalk and then hosting a Super Bowl. It takes a lot. You have to put together a huge proposal to have your city be considered for a Super Bowl. You have to show them that you have the financial capacity, the tourist capacity to, hotel rooms, the ability to handle that many people. It takes a lot. We have hospitals, universities, absolutely. We look at the Florida university system, USF, UF, FSU, UCF, University of Miami on the private scale. So we've got so much, University of Tampa. We've got so much here in Florida, but then coming into the Tampa Bay area, looking direct right in here. USF is, I believe it's the 3rd or the 4th, top largest Florida-based university in the state. And then UT is a very highly ranked team, a very highly ranked university. So we have so much that's going on here right in this area, telling buyers that they're making a good decision. We have investors that are buying brand new homes, investors, corporate investors, big time investors that have millions of dollars. They send you a pre-approval proof of funds, and it shows they've got 17 to 30 million dollars sometimes that you're seeing in these proof of funds for one of the sides of their corporation to buy these homes. So they're buying brand new homes from Lennar and D.R. Horton just so they could be in this market and rent them out. So if the large corporations are doing it, then they have to answer to a lot of other millions of people, then it's probably a good decision to buy a home in this area. So these are conversations that you should be having with your buyers. It's going to help them feel better and make a better decision when they're considering having to pay for or pay over list price when you're here. So then also something you want to consider while we're talking about them, you want to set the right expectations. So the expectations for your buyers need to be, when you're meeting with them, letting them know, I'm sure you've heard about what's going on in the market, but I also don't want you to be surprised when you go. I know you probably may not fully understand until we get out and actually look at some homes, but you need to be prepared at your price point or with your type of financing or with whatever that is. We need to be prepared to potentially be paying $5, $10, $15, $20,000 over the list price, because it is happening fairly regularly. We will be competing with multiple offers, but don't worry. That's what I'm here for. I will navigate, negotiate, walk you through all of these things to make sure that we get to where we need to be. And then when you're talking to your buyer, I'm going to jump down to number 4 here. Once you start looking into homes, we need to be finding out, how motivated are they? We need to know their motivation. Motivation is going to be a key factor here when you're talking with your buyers and negotiating for them. We need to know, how bad do you want this home? How bad do you need this home? Because if they're telling us that if they really need the home, but they're not telling us that, they're going to be very disappointed when they don't get one, or they're going to be very disappointed once they get to that point and they're losing out over and over again. And that, if they're telling us they really need the home, I need to be in it by this time, I have to, that's going to change the way we negotiate. That's going to change the way we craft their offer. So we need to really understand their motivation and their position so that we can craft the best offer for them and advise them of how to get through these scenarios that we're going to be in. We have to also express to them and help them understand, and I like to do this beforehand, understanding that we need to start looking about your monthly payment and not the price of the home. If we constantly focus on the price, we are a society of wanting a deal. Everything's got to be a deal. We have the dollar menu at McDonald's. We've got the 99-cent this, or buy one get one at that. People go to 4 different grocery stores to get their buy one get one deals or the discounts that they have. So we are a society of discounts. Everybody wants a deal, wants to feel like they're getting a deal. So we need to start shifting their focus from payment into price. I'm sorry, from price to payment. We need to focus on the payment. So what I mean by that is you're not paying $10,000 more for the home. Realistically, you are not going to pay $10,000 more for this home. Let me explain. Offering $260 instead of $250 is only going to affect your monthly payment by approximately $50. With their qualifications, interest rate, and everything, it's going to vary. Get that from their lender, but that's going to change your payment by about $50. You're going to be paying $50 more for this home, not $10,000 more for this home. And let's also discuss this. Is this your forever home? I've had plenty of people tell me this is their forever home, and 3 years later they're calling me because they're having a kid, getting rid of a kid off to college, had a dog, need a yard, changed jobs, moving, whatever. They said this was going to be it for them 3 years later. So let's just say that you stay in this home for the average time frame, which is 5 to 7 years. Let's go on the high end, 7 years. Let's say you're going to be in this home for 7 years. And we get this home under contract and you have to pay $260 for it, which is really only $50 a month more. $50 a month over the course of 1 year is $600 for the year. And if you live in this home for 7 years, 7 years times $600 a year is $4,200. So realistically, by the time you move out of this home, you've only paid $4,200 more per month per that time frame, not $10,000 more for the time frame. Are you willing to lose this home because you weren't willing to pay $50 more per month? Because that's the big difference. The big difference here is $50 per month, not $10,000 in price. And if we can shift their focus to the payment and to the fact that they are getting a deal, because if we can show them that you're only going to pay, let's just say they're only in a home for 5 years, that's $3,000. So you're only paying $3,000. They think you're paying $10,000 more. The seller thinks you're paying $10,000 more, but realistically, by the time it's all said and done, you're probably only going to be paying $3,000 more over this time frame. You're really getting a deal by doing it this way. Shift their focus. They have to change the basis point from they're paying more, and show them that they're getting some type of benefit, some type of deal out of it, and that it's only $50 per month, not $10,000. That's an easier pill to swallow. And also, what's the other? There's another one on here that talks, and it's basically, oh, there it is. The difference in payment for a $200,000 mortgage and a $201,000 mortgage is $4.22. That's it. So change the basis point. Similar to what we do with the seller when they're talking about commission, let's change the basis point. When they're talking about commission, we need to be telling them, is it really about the commission that you're going to pay me, or is it more about what I'm going to put in your pocket? I know it's off the course of buyers, but I'm going to keep going on that for a minute. So we've talked a lot right now about commissions and reductions. And Mr. Seller, you have to understand that the other person that you're interviewing, they don't have a strategy. They don't have a pricing or positioning strategy the way that I do. They're going to do things a certain way. And let me tell you a little story about what we did with this last seller and what actually was able to benefit them to the tune of 2.5% more in their pocket as opposed to saving 1%. So if you put your property on the market, this was a $210,000 home, and a $210,000 home went on the market, and with the normal agent, They're going to put it on the market on a Wednesday or Thursday. They're going to get multiple offers right away because your property is absolutely beautiful and there's tons of people looking for a home like yours. It's probably going to happen like that. That $210,000 offers are going to come in and they're going to be 211, 213, 215, whatever that is. They're going to come in like that. Let's just say they're all cash. You decide 215, that's great. I'll take it. Or 213, that's great. I'll take it, whatever the highest one was. This is an actual scenario that happened. The offers were at 215 cash, and it was $5,000 over list price, and they said, "We'll take it. That's great." Well, you just made $5,000 more than you expected, and you paid 1% less. So realistically, you paid $2,000 less, and they put $5,000 more in your pocket. What if I told you that hiring me, I have the ability to position your property a little bit differently, put it on the market, make sure we get the best buyers through there, because in this scenario, we made sure we waited to get more offers, positioned it differently, marketed it differently, got a 219 cash offer by Saturday because we weren't forced to accept one of the offers on Wednesday because of the way we positioned it. So we put $4,000 more in their pocket than the other offers. So realistically, I put $9,000 more in your pocket, and I charged you 1% more than what the other person was wanting to charge, which is $2,000. So realistically, I put $7,000 more in your pocket than the other person was saying they would have. So, or 2,000. They put $5,000 more in your pocket. I put $7,000 more in your pocket. I beat them by $2,000. So I made up my 1% easily. So is it really about the commission you pay, or is it about how much money I can put in your pocket? Because I can show you that I'm going to put more money in your pocket than anybody else that's out there. And let me show you, let me tell you a story, let me prove it. So coming back to your buyer side, when you're talking about your buyer and prepping them for that, going through all of those things, talking about payment, talking about letting them know that they're going to have to pay over list price, more than likely, especially if you know what they're looking for and their home is something that's a hot commodity. So other things that you want to do when you're getting out there showing properties and you're going through this is, let's go to number 2 first. Know your buyer's lender. When you get your buyer, if they're not working with one of your lenders, or even if they are working with one of your lenders, communicate with the lender. We need to know everything we possibly can about their file that's going to be pertinent to us. Has this file been fully approved and reviewed? Have they reviewed all their taxes? Have they reviewed all their income? Have they pulled their credit? Have they put it into desktop underwriter? Have they taken it and actually submitted it to an underwriter for review so that they have an answer from an underwriter and they are fully underwritten and approved at this point? All they need is a contract. So knowing those things are going to be very, very beneficial. Now, also, is it possible that they have an appraisal waiver for a specific property? So once your buyer can get fully underwritten, if they do that beforehand, and they've been through underwriting, they're approved, everything's good, all you need is an address. Once you get that address, you can submit that to the lender and have him run that through the underwriter, and they could look and see if it has an appraisal waiver. Depending on the buyer's position and down payment, if they're putting 20% or more down and their qualifications are good and they're fully underwritten and the property pricing and everything is going to be good, they could have an appraisal waiver. And when you're putting an offer in, those are good things to mention. Hey, just so you're aware, I'm going to have my lender call you. We have a fully underwritten file. I've taken the address and given it to the lender. Their buyer is putting 20%, 30% down. They've processed that through with the underwriter, and it's showing in their system that we have an appraisal waiver based on the purchase price that we're offering, as well as their fully underwritten file. We are good to go. There won't be any issues. Make sure your home is in good condition. We're going to accept this contract. As long as there's no major issues with the repairs, we'll probably still be good with that because we want this home. Buyer's good, everything's good, let's go to contract, let's get it done. That can potentially happen. So also making sure that the lender has reviewed the specific numbers for this property. We just had this happen yesterday. I was talking to an agent and they received an offer and they're looking at the pre-approval and there's just something off about it. They tried calling the lender didn't answer, went back and forth with the agent. The agent hadn't talked to the lender. They went and picked up the phone again the next day because they still had one more day, called and talked to the agent. The agent said, "Oh, I finally talked to the lender. Yeah, I just gave him the address this morning and they ran it, and this property isn't going to qualify because the taxes are too high. The insurance was going to be here." So making sure that your buyer has had the property address with the lender, and you've sent him the MLS sheet, and he's run the taxes, insurance, and everything, making sure if there's flood insurance, he's run all of that for this specific property. And you can make sure that that's on the pre-approval, because if it's on the pre-approval, he has been underwritten for this property address. Everything is good to go. We're prepared to move forward to closing. We only need X amount of days. So also we need to know how long the lender needs to close. Some files are taking longer. Some lenders are taking longer. So some files potentially can take a little bit longer to close if the buyer has an issue that needs to be cleared before closing. If they need a tax document, or if they need to pay something off and it needs to be updated in the credit system. If there's certain things that they need, the lender could tell you, hey, I'm going to need all of 45 days for this one because of a couple things. Or the lender is going to tell you, we need 35 to 40 days because that's just what my bank is processing right now. A lot of lenders can still do in 25 to 30 days, sometimes 21 to 25 days. So knowing how long they need that and how long it's going to take them to get a loan approval, because we need to be sharpening our tools and getting to work, putting together and crafting an amazing offer for this buyer. And we're going to need to know closing date, loan approval timeframe from this lender, fully underwritten, possible appraisal waiver, everything's good to go. So we can also have our lender call the listing agent, because I want to have a good rapport. I want to be the agent that stands out. If I have my lender call, I'm going to stand out. If I call and talk to them, I'm going to stand out. How many times have you had a listing on the market and you just get an email? Here's an offer. No phone call. Don't know when they showed it. Didn't hear anything about it. No communication, not even a text message. You just get an offer. And the offer is, please see attached in the email. That's all it says. There's no connection there. There's no personability. You know nothing about them. And when you're competing with 8, 9, 10, 15, 20 other offers, you need to stand out as well as the buyer. We've had plenty of communications that, or at least I've had with sellers, where I've told them, I've worked with this agent before. This agent is from my office. That one I've had an experience with as well. And they want to know how those were. This one was a little rough, but it had nothing to do with the agent. It was the buyer. And this agent was amazing. This agent, communication was an issue. We couldn't get a hold of him. It was this, whatever that is. You need to stand out. So pick up the phone and call the listing agent. That's what the first section is. Pick up the phone and call the listing agent and communicate. Ask questions. Use rapport building skills. Use VAK. Use your DISC to identify what type of personality this person is. Connect with them. Try to find some points of commonality with them so you can build a stronger connection and stand out whenever you're talking to them. You want to be the buyer's agent that the listing agent likes. This is not the time for egos. This is not the time for, well, you're doing this. I can't, well, I mean, we tried to get in. This is not the time to try to make yourself look stronger. This is the time to build connections. This business is people and communications. Build a stronger connection so that you have a better opportunity to get your buyer this offer. And by doing all of these things up front and talking with the listing agent, asking questions, getting some dirt on it, asking about the other offers. They're not supposed to tell you, but they will. They'll mention something. If you ask the right questions, they'll start blabbering and they'll keep going. So start the communication going, get your lender in communication with them. Communication is absolutely key here. We've also mentioned writing an emotional letter. I've had sellers choose an offer just because of the letter that was attached to them. They read it and they said, wow, because this buyer really wants our home. They're really going to take care of it. You have to realize and understand that there's an emotional attachment on the other end with the seller most all the time. There's some type of emotional attachment. And even somebody who's kind of stoic still has some type of emotional attachment to something in that house. So if you can connect with that by writing a letter, or better yet, now, if you really want to make Yeah, letters make the buyer a person, not just a piece of paper. It's not just a piece of paper with a number on it. It's a person. There's a connection, especially if you put a photo on it too. I say now, or say better yet, shoot a video. Shoot a quick little video of you and the family and of how excited you are about getting this home. What if you shot an emotional video of the buyer who was so excited this is going to be her first home, and she's got her kids or her family there, and she's so excited that she's barely, basically almost to the point of tears crying because she's just looking forward to this and she'd love the opportunity. So thank you for your consideration. Shoot a video and send it over, and send a letter for us to break it down even more. It doesn't matter. We need to be standing out and setting ourselves apart. And these things can make a huge difference. Then lastly, you're talking about your terms of the offer. So for you, navigating through these offers and writing the right offer to get your buyer accepted here, you're going to need to use every tool that we have, where you're going to use an escalation clause 9 out of 10 times. You're going to use different scenarios where we have some new verbiage in dotloop about potential appraisal waiver, or I'll pay $5,000 over the appraised value. So we're going to have to find a way to pair all these together to make it stand out so that all of our terms line up as well. So making sure that we're putting in a solid price with a solid escrow deposit, an additional escrow deposit on top of that, filling out every line of the contract so you fill out a beautifully crafted contract. There's agents that's what they look for. If you send them a contract that's just got the price and a couple boxes checked and everything else is if left blank, I think that's lazy. I know it says if left blank, but let's be diligent. Let's make sure we go through every single line and we show them that we are paying attention to everything on this contract. Fill in every single blank, even if it says if left blank and that's what you're using. Fill everything in. Pay attention to the realtor remarks. If the realtor remarks say washer and dryer not included, or chandelier and dining room not included, shed does not convey, and your buyer wants the home, you're probably not going to be able to get those. You're going to have to make sure you write those in personal property not included. On the contract, the first section is your personal property to be included in the contract. The second one underneath that is personal property excluded from the contract. Make sure you write those things in so that there's no objections to your offer, and that there's nothing that they can say to you. This is why they didn't accept it, or have to come back to you to make you remove that so we can get an initial. We want it to be an executable offer. Inspection timeframes, shorten them up. Know when your offer is going. If you have an offer going in on Monday, you can put a 5-day inspection period. Because if you get an offer on Monday and it gets accepted Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday is day 5. Saturday, day 5 automatically pushes to the next business day at 5 p.m. Let's just say that's Monday. You just got yourself an extra day and a half. So you've got more time to make some decisions there. So know your time frames, know your calendar, know the offers, the time frames that you're putting in, because you can buy some extra time by using those deadlines and using a weekend or a holiday to your benefit. So make sure that everything lines up. Closing date and loan approval date. Another thing, make sure they line up. You don't want to have a closing date that's a 30-day closing date and a 30-day loan approval date. If you do a 30-day close and a 30-day loan approval, your buyer has protection right up until the closing date. That's fine for the buyer, but it's not good for a seller. And if we need to stand out and show that we're diligent, we should be doing a loan approval date based on what the lender tells us they can do, potentially 21 days, 25 days, and then a closing date that is at least 3 days after that. So we have time for delivery of the CD and all of the document prep and everything to get to closing. Just being diligent. Those are things we should be paying attention to. Have all of your addenda together. If there are attachments to the listing, use them, submit them. Make sure you have a pre-approval. Make sure your pre-approval is, like we discussed earlier, has the address on it, has the price on it, has the loan amount, has everything on there. Make sure that you include the attachments in the listing. That's a complete offer. Make sure all of your boxes are checked in the addenda section, section 19. Make sure you have all of those included. And I said included and excluded items was the next point. So if your buyer's home doesn't exist because it keeps coming and going really quickly and you keep losing out, what can you do differently? What should I just heard this story the other day. This wasn't even in crazy time of the market. Her husband, one of our agents, Jackie Stone, does everything you ask her to do and does everything that we mentioned. Well, she was doing this before it was even needed to be done. She was driving around with one of her buyers. They looked at a home and she said, "Is this the home that you want?" He said, "I kind of like this one or this one or this one better," or whatever the case was. She goes, "Okay." And they're driving by and said, "Whoa, that was gorgeous. That's beautiful." Stops the car, gets out, and goes and knocks on the door and asks them if they'd be interested in selling their home. Those are the things you have to start considering doing. So find your buyer an off-market home. Sit down with them and identify 1 to 2 neighborhoods they absolutely want to be in. Absolutely, without a question, this is where we want to be. That's a motivated buyer. When you have a motivated buyer who knows where they want to be, when they have to be there, exactly what it is, 1 to 2 neighborhoods at most. And we want to start getting the criteria together. Say, what specifically do you want? I saw this floor plan in this community, and that's exactly what I wanted. It was this many bedrooms, this many bathrooms, this size. This is what I want in this neighborhood. Then you go to Remine. Get into Remine, draw a box around the neighborhood, and you can do that easily. Actually, we'll do that really quickly. So you've got to get on the hunt and start finding homes for your buyer. If you go into Remine, Remine will allow you to start searching by these criteria. And if we know the neighborhood they want to be in, and we know the size of the home that they want to be in, I'm just going to click on search. And let's just say my person, get rid of these overlays. My person wants to be over here in this section of Waterset. Said they want to be somewhere in this section of Waterset. I'm going to say, okay, tell me the boundaries you want. It's going to be this whole section that they want to be in. Perfect. That's where you want to be. And how big was the home? It was a 2,700 square foot home. I'm going to say, okay, 2,600 to 2,800 square foot. So now we have 101 results. How many bedrooms did it have? It had 4 bedrooms. So a minimum 4. And how many bathrooms? It had a minimum of 3. All right. Well, you got 9 homes that I'm going to go knock on every single door. And I'm going to go to every single door that's there. And I'm going to ask them and tell them, hey, I've got a client who's looking at homes in this area. And as I'm sure you aren't surprised to hear, they absolutely love this neighborhood. The problem is there's nothing currently on the market that fits what they need. What they're looking for is, and tell them, because don't tell them your home is an exact fit for it. You can, but you want to tell them what they're looking for, something that's about this size, this many bedrooms and bathrooms. Do you know of anybody who has a property like that that might be considered selling? In the back of their head, they're connecting that's my home. And I don't know, maybe we did, maybe we didn't, whatever the case is. And once you get through that, have a little conversation. But then at the end of it, it's basically, by the way, if you or anyone you know does consider selling right in the near future, let me know right away. I might be able to sell your home without it ever going on the market, because there's buyers that are ready, willing, and able, and I happen to have one. So I can't guarantee they'll buy your home, but I can promise that I'll bring it to their attention. So just having a conversation with them, just connect a little bit, use your rapport building skills to connect with them a little bit and start talking to them about your buyer's needs. And by the way, have you ever considered selling your home? Or if you or anyone you know wants to sell their home, please let me know right away. So we need to start doing this a little bit more, getting into Remine, using this tool to identify all of the homes in a specific neighborhood that match the criteria that this buyer is looking for, and go on the hunt, go knock on doors, go drop off a letter, find in Remine here if this one if this one has any associated people. So this one shows it just closed. So let's see. Oh, there's these are sold stuff. So if we go down here to associated people at the bottom, we can go and see if there's anyone connected to them. There's 2 names, no contact information, but that's the owners. That's who the owners are. So we can go through and check every property to see if there's a phone number and email. But the best thing to do is just go knock on their door, go tell them who you are, go level with them and tell them what's going on. You know, you might be able to get more for your home than you ever considered. If you've ever considered selling, now's the time to consider a little bit more. So find exactly specifically what it is and go to Remind and get on the hunt and look for it. Another thing you can do, post something to social media. Post to your page or go into the neighborhood page of where they want to be and put a video or put up some text about what it is that you're looking for. Take a simple script like you put up there and just say that. Hey guys in Waterset, or hey guys in wherever you're at, I've same kind of thing. Said, you know, I've got somebody looking to be in your neighborhood. I'm sure that you're not surprised. They absolutely love the amenities, the layout, the homes, the builders, the way it looks, whatever that is. And they're looking for a home that's going to be this much square foot, this many bedrooms and bathrooms. If any of you in here have ever considered selling your home or have thought about selling your home, let me know right away. We've got buyers that are ready, willing, and able to go right now. There's just not enough homes on the market for them. So post something to social media, get that out there. Go and tell them that. Post it to your page, post it to the neighborhood page, get it out in as many places as you possibly can. What else can you do? You can call whoever the neighborhood expert agent is in that neighborhood. And I wrote here, just kidding. You should be the expert. Get your ass out there and go become the expert in that neighborhood. Go knock on every door and find somebody who wants to sell. But realistically, if you know there's an agent who works a neighborhood and has a majority of the listings in that neighborhood, and you want to know if they have anything coming up, the simplest thing you can do is call them and ask them, hey, I've got a buyer looking in this neighborhood. I noticed you've had quite a few sales in here, and I'm just curious, do you have anything coming up shortly? You know, I'm just curious if you'd like to potentially get something done beforehand. Call and ask them that. Make sure you have some type of commission agreement or they have a listing agreement that's signed beforehand. Or if you don't want to do that, go knock on every single door in the neighborhood. But it's just a way we cover all of the bases. Call someone else. Call someone else and see if they have anything coming up. Let's get all the boots on the ground. The other place you can go to the expired, canceled, not relisted. Go into IMAP through Stellar MLS. And when you pull up IMAP, we're going to do a search. You can write the subdivision name in, or you can click on this map and go into map and draw a box around it and go to listing status, canceled, not relisted, or expired, not relisted. And it's going to give you it'll give you a grouping of homes. If I go into expired, not relisted, and I want to look in Waterset, there's 7 homes that were expired and not relisted. I'm going to go to every single one of these homes and go knock on their door and ask them the same question. I've got a buyer that's looking for a property. What they're really looking for is this. They absolutely love this neighborhood, and I'd like to know if you're interested in a quick and easy sale. So going through all of that, you'll have plenty of other possibilities and options to talk to people. Next thing you can do is set up a hot sheet in your MLS so that you get notified of every single property as it comes on the market. So you know right away. You're not waiting for the normal MLS email to go to your buyer, which if you set up a saved email search for your buyer, one of the options for the auto email is it delivers at night, it delivers the following morning, or it delivers immediately. It defaults to delivers in the AM. So every morning they get an email of all of the updates that happened the previous day. So if a property came on the market at 10 a.m. yesterday, my client would have an email this morning at 7 a.m. That's not good enough, because yesterday when it came on the market, if the agent wasn't diligent and just put it on the market and started fielding offers, it might be under contract already. So I want to know as soon as that property comes on the market, I'm going to come over here to Hot Sheets, or I'm going to come into Matrix and Summary. go to my settings and go to hot sheets. And I'm going to set up a hot sheet. I've already got a bunch set up, but you just pick one that's there. Or if you have the ability, you can do add. I've already got them full, but you're just going to pick one that's there, rename it, redo it, whatever you want to do with it. And you're going to have, what do you want to, I want to know everything that happens in a neighborhood. You might only want to know new listing. You may only want to know new listing and back on market, because anything that cancels, I want to know if it came back on market. So that's something that that you would look into. This will not notify you right away, but if you're actively in MLS, all you have to do is come over here and click on one of them, and it'll tell you anything that's updated since your last click. So that way you can follow through as soon as things happen. You can also, go into the neighborhood that they want to be in and search all of the pending properties. Find everything that's pending and find the ones that the buyer wants and put a backup offer in. Your buyer's protected. Most agents are wanting as-is contracts. If you write an as-is contract, that's a backup offer. Your buyer is committed to the backup offer for the time, if they accept it. And even if your buyer buys another home, the backup addendum says that your buyer can cancel that contract at any time up until the day that the seller notifies you that you've become their active offer. So it doesn't hurt to put a backup offer in. Your buyer's not obligated to anything until the seller notifies them that they are now in first position. And with an as-is contract, your buyer still has the right to, in their sole discretion, cancel the contract during the inspection period. So get out there and write some backup offers. Write as many backup offers as you can. Just be cognizant of the listing agent, and be cognizant that you're not doing it with the same listing agent on multiple different properties, because you don't want to get that reputation either. And just have that discussion with your buyer. And for sale by owners. Most for sale by owners aren't in our MLS, most of them. And we have created a little bit of a for sale by owner market, because a lot of sellers think they can do what needs to be done to sell their home, and they don't need to pay any commissions. And that's just not the case most of the time. It's true their home will sell, and that's not where our value is. Our value is not in getting the sale. Our value is in negotiating the sale, negotiating all the fine points, positioning it, pricing it, getting them the most amount of money, because I'll put more money in their pocket than they would have if they just put it on the market as a for sale by owner, because I'll get more offers. I'll position it correctly so that we get the most amount of buyers through there. But go to your for sale by owners and talk with the for sale by owners. See if your buyer likes any of those. Make sure you look on Zillow. Make sure you look on forsalebyowner.com. Make sure you look on militarybyowner.com. Look on those websites for properties that your buyer might be interested in. And that is all. I'm gonna. That's all for that. I'm gonna finish up with a couple stories that we've had happening. Just so you're with this. This is a difficult market to work in. It's fast, it's quick, there's a lot happening, but you've heard us mention that plenty of times before. It's harder to sell homes in this market than it is in a different market. So let's talk about some of the crazy things that are happening here. We just had this go on. A pool home got listed and went live on the wrong day. Anybody who knows, when you're searching for a pool home that's within a decent price range, it's going to go really, 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 really fast, and it's going to have a ton of people through that door. This one was a pool home, a $250,000 pool home, and it was supposed to go on the market Monday, but apparently it hit the market Saturday. This was one that it ended up being a literal flea market in the street. It was completely packed. One of our agents went and showed the property. They had a confirmed showing. They clicked on a button, got a confirmed showing, showed up to the door. The seller was there. The seller was out there doing gardening, opens the front door. There's 4 or 5 agents walking through the property, 4 or 5 more walking up. He's in there. He's talking to the seller, who is also talking to other agents. And she says, yeah, the property wasn't supposed to go on the market till Monday. And next thing you know, I've got people showing up. And so I called the agent. She said, oh, well, I guess we just opened the door. So people doing silly things, not being diligent, not paying attention. But this just happened this past weekend. And the seller is there the whole time blabbering and talking about everything that happens and did and what we did, where's it at, how many people, what kind of offer. She's talking about everything. And that's not what you want to have happen, but that's happening. Something else we've got $1 million home on the water that's been for sale for over 400 days. And it just got a contract on it, full price. Price hasn't changed in 400 days. They got full price. And it's under contract now. So it's a crazy market. There's a lot of buyers out there. Their buyers are looking for whatever they can find. Here's another scenario. We found a buyer whose Home Partners approved, and we got them into a property. Home Partners was willing to pay $3,000 over the list price for the home. So consider this. You have a buyer who's a low down payment buyer who needs closing costs. They're not getting a home in the 250, 300 range right now, even 325. They're not getting a home right now with closing cost assistance. It's going to be really, really tough, especially if they want a beautiful home. It's not going to happen. Find out if what they're looking for is in a Home Partners approved area. Get them qualified with Home Partners. Home Partners will buy the home cash. Cash stands out a lot more than a finance offer most of the time. Home Partners was willing to pay $3,000 over the list price for this home. $3,000 over they were going to pay for this home to get this home under contract. Now the buyer, what the buyer gets a home that they really wanted. They wouldn't have gotten it any other way. They've now got a year before they can buy the home. They can buy it anytime within that year, but let's just say a year to save up closing costs and get to the point where they can buy the home. Home Partners is going to charge how much more? 3.75% more in 1 year. So they're going to collect the rent over that year, and then they're going to charge 3.75% more at the end of the year. We have homes that are appreciating 3% in 2 weeks. Craig just had a home that he purchased 2-3 weeks ago, and the appraisal came back $10 or $11,000 more than what he paid for it in 3 weeks. So we have homes that are appraising that much more in 3 weeks. So within a year, it's pretty reasonable to expect that the home should continue to appraise as long as the market continues to stay flexible like this and continue going. So that's an option for your borrowers to look and see. If you need something like that, it might be a benefit. They're going to hedge against inflation. We've had a market where homes have appreciated in 1 year 10 to 30% more than they were a year ago. And if they only have to pay 3.5% more with Home Partners and it's locked in, isn't that something worth looking into for your buyer? And express that to them. If the market continues to appreciate the way that it has, you're basically hedging against inflation. If you wait a year, you're going to have to pay 10% more. But if you buy it through Home Partners, you're only going to pay 3.5% more. Sounds like a win-win. Oh, we just had this happen. A home got listed yesterday. Our buyer and our agent wrote a full price offer. Full price, solid offer at the terms of the listing. Nothing off about it. Closing in whatever time frame the seller wanted. Sends it over, goes, hey, we're ready to go. Time for acceptance was last night. And the response from the agent in writing, from the listing agent in writing is, we're not prepared to accept an offer right now. I think we're just going to wait. A full price offer, large down payment, ready to go, will close in whatever time frame the seller wants. And the listing agent says, we're not prepared to accept an offer right now. I think we're going to wait. Where's the problem in this? The problem is she didn't say the seller has directed us to not accept any offers until Sunday because they want to field through all the showings and make sure they have the best possibility. They said, I think we're going to wait. Okay. Well, we presented an offer that met the terms of their listing agreement. We technically were due a commission. So there's some issues there. Make sure that you're not doing silly things like that. If you're going to do that and wait, make sure that it is directed by the seller. I'm putting the property on the market Wednesday, no showings until Saturday, open house Saturday, Sunday. All offers will be reviewed Sunday evening and a decision made by Monday at noon. Put that into your additional terms. Seller directs Century 21 Beggins Enterprises to not review any offers until Sunday evening after 5 p.m. so they can make a decision by Monday at noon. If they direct us to do that, then any offer that comes in before that does not meet the terms of the listing agreement. Without that, an offer could potentially meet the terms of the listing agreement, and we could potentially be due we'd be due a commission, and so would the buyer's agent. So it creates problems. Don't be doing silly things like this. We had last one. I'll do washer and dryer. Buyer went under contract. Washer and dryer is included in the contract. They went and did a walkthrough. Washer and dryer are not the same washer and dryer in the house. Very clear and evident. Never got a phone call from the agent. Never said a word about it the whole time. So they sent pictures of the ones from the inspection that were the right ones and the ones that are there now, and said these are not the same washer and dryer. Please have them brought back. The agent says that's not possible. We can't do that. They're gone. The washer and dryer, if you look at the serial number on the old washer and dryer, they were 12 years old. The reasonable life expectancy of a washer dryer is 10 years. And because they were outside of the reasonable life expectancy, they're basically worthless. We'll give you a $200 credit. Wow, somebody went through all that hassle, all that premeditated hassle to put that whole thing together. Then after we ask a couple more questions, he says a day later, well, someone came and stole them. That's why they're not there. But they didn't call us and say, hey, Mr. Buyer's agent, sorry, somebody stole the washer and dryer out of there. What would you like us to do? They still have a contractual obligation. But in this situation, in this market, there's a contractual obligation. But who enforces contracts? Agents? No. Title companies? No. Brokers? No. Judges. They're the only ones that can enforce a contract and make someone do something. So unless you want to blow this deal up and wait to close and try to sue for specific performance for some silly small washer dryer, it might be a little bit of a hassle. So what do? Figure out what the buyer wants. What does the buyer want? Does the buyer just want to close and get this done and over with? Does the buyer want to stand their ground on principle and ask for something a little more? Whatever the case is, that's fine. This buyer said, hey, look, I don't care, but it is kind of the principle. Can you get me $500 and I'd be happy? They can take the piece of crap washer dryer that's there. And that's what they did, and they agreed, and everybody closed. But we get more flies with honey than vinegar, so let's be nice, figure a way to get through these issues. And it's about people and communications. So that is all for today. Happy Wednesday. Hope you guys have a great day. I hope I gave you some valuable information that you could potentially use. As always, we are available. Please reach out, contact us if you need anything, and have a happy Wednesday.